Greetings, History Detectives and Miss Wilder's Social Studies class. We are going to talk about what you are going to be working on in Social Studies for the next couple of days. So I've given each of you this reading note sheet. See how it says reading notes? And I'm going to walk you through the directions for how we're going to set this up so that we can easily complete these reading notes. Remember to always read the directions before you start an assignment. So it says that we're going to read each section in our book and write a summary of it in the space provided on these pages. For each summary, we're going to use all the words in the word bank and underline each one. Now, in order to make it a lot simpler for you guys, I have highlighted, circled, and written a couple of notes that I want you guys to copy on your paper. And I'm going to explain what each of those things mean. So go ahead and I want you to circle the number 3 beside migration routes of the first Americans. Circle that number 3, and then I want you to draw an arrow and write page 19. Circle number 3 and draw an arrow that says page 19. So remember how I told you we studied, our first unit of study was about geography, and I said that was so important because it's laying the groundwork for you to be able to understand everything that we're going to study this year. In order for us to understand where the first Native Americans came from, we need to know our geography, and we need to know all the continents and the oceans. So all that good information that we studied about geography is now going to come in very handy. So what we're going to do for this section, I'm going to show you, it says 3. That is your clue, and also I've given you a little bit of help too by helping to point out that you're going to look at page 19 in your book to help you complete this summary. Now, page 19 in your book looks like this. We're in chapter 2, and we're going to start our study about Native Americans. Page 19, let me readjust this just a little, looks like this. I'm trying to get all of that in there so that you can see the page number 19, but I also want you to pay attention to this section number. So this first number lets us know that we are in chapter 2, and this is the 3rd section of that chapter. So we're in the 3rd section of chapter 2. That's where we're going to find all of these words and the information from this word bank to help us create this summary that our directions are asking us to complete. So after you read this section about the migration routes of the first Americans and how they came from the continent of Asia, and you're going to study these land bridge routes and the coastal route, you're then going to be able to complete a summary. Now, for your summaries, I want you to count how many words are in the word bank. Hold up the number of fingers that corresponds to how many words are in the word bank. Good, Maddie. Good, Tori. Good, Kenna. And good, everyone else. Great. 4. So that means you're going to have 4 total sentences. Now, to help show you and model what we're going to do, I have used one of those first words for you and created a summary sentence that explains what a migration route was, and it specifically talks about, since we're studying Native Americans, how that applied to Native Americans. Do you notice this is similar to what we do on those VGO organizers, the vocab graphic organizers, how we create that sentence? And I see Powell nodding his head. He remembers doing that. So it's very similar. You're using that term to create a sentence and apply your knowledge. Very similar to what you do in math as well. Remember how in math you have to apply your knowledge of that term on your VGOs? I want you to apply your knowledge of migration routes from what you read in this section. Now notice, did I create a sentence that said, I love migration routes? I love Siberia. Or the Ice Age is really cool. Or big game or really cool. Did I create sentences like that? Would that thumbs up, thumbs down really demonstrate to the teacher that I had a good knowledge and a good grasp on what these words meant? Correct. It would not. I'd love to see all those thumbs downs. You guys recognize that you have to actually apply your knowledge of this term in the word bank to demonstrate your understanding of this section. So let's read. You guys read silently while I read this sentence aloud. The migration route of Native Americans began over 12,000 years ago. So we've used that word migration route. We have underlined it in our sentence. And thumbs up, thumbs down if that's a good summary that explains about migration routes and how it applies to Native Americans. Good. I agree as well. So then what you're going to continue doing is creating 3 more sentences for this one. Now, you've noticed that I've drawn an arrow below here because you can definitely go all the way to the bottom of the page. I tend to write a little bit larger, so it would take me this whole space, but some of you guys may write smaller, and so you may fit it within the box, but if not, there are no worries. Just extend your sentences beneath the box. It's okay to write outside of the box. Are there any questions about this section before I give you some clues for the next sections? Jillian?
Do you have to read the passage to find the answer?
Absolutely. Remember, refer back to these directions. It says read each section in your book and then write that summary. That's a great question. We always have to have that background knowledge before we can apply and demonstrate our understanding of that knowledge, right? Because isn't it tempting sometimes to skip those directions and just try to go straight to what the teacher's asking you to do? But then doesn't it always end really bad because you end up confused or you don't quite understand what you're supposed to do? So that's why it's so important to always follow those directions and do everything that those directions are asking us to do. So great question though. Let's continue on. When we look at the next part of our reading notes, it has a 4. And this is the section that talks about American Indians and the environment. I want you to draw an arrow and I want you to write page 20 through 21. Page 20 through 21. That's where you're going to find information and build your background knowledge to help you create a summary for this section 4. Remember, we're looking in chapter 2, section 4 for this information. And another clue, I've given you several clues by circling this, writing in page numbers to help reference that. But another good clue is to look for these images on the page that correspond to the images on your reading notes. Now hold up the number of fingers by glancing at this word bank that this response is going to have. Good, Tori. 5? Good. Yes, everyone sees 5 sentences because we have 5 words. Remember, how many words do each sentence need to, or how many words does each sentence need to have? Very good. I see those 7 fingers up in the air. 7 or more. 7 up sentences. Very good. So pages 20 through 21 are going to look like this. And see how you see some similar things. Each of those types of 4 environments are located here. And so that's where you're going to be looking, pages 20 and 21. Now, finally, on the back side, I want you to label it like this. You're going to look on the back side and see number 5 where it says American Indians adapt to the environment. Number 5 says American Indians adapt to the environment. You're going to be referencing pages 22 through 23 in your book to find out background information about this section and then to create a summary. Now hold up the number of fingers that correspond to how many total sentences we should have for this section, section 5. Good, pal. Good, Jillian. Good, everyone else. 4 total sentences that we should have in the summary. And remember, it is okay to go beyond the box. Feel free to write down here in the margins. We are always trying to save paper and save trees, so I did create these to be 2 pages on 1 sheet. Now, I do want you to draw a line right here in the middle, and then I want you to write the word stop. Write the word stop. We will be doing the reading further section, talking about creating this really cool winter count that we will actually create on brown paper bags in the next week or so. And this will be our kind of like our brainstorming section to write down our ideas before we transfer that over to a brown paper bag. But we are going to stop, and we're not going to discuss this at this point. You are just focusing on the next couple of days working on completing really detailed, really great reading notes to demonstrate your understanding of Native Americans. Any questions about this? Cal?
What page are we supposed to read?
Okay, so right here for section 5, you're writing down page 22 through 23. Page 22 through 23. And it's going to look like this in your book. See how it says that chapter 2, section 5. So you can match up those sections. Pages 22 through 23. Any other questions? So you'll work on this the next couple of days. Refer back to the video if you have forgotten what to do for certain sections or where to look. These videos are going to be so helpful to refresh our minds. Good luck, guys. I'm excited to see some really good reading notes.